أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي واجعلني وزيرا من أهلي هارون أخي أشد به أزري وأشركه في أمري كي نسبحك كثيرا ونذكرك كثيرا إنك كنت بنا بصيرا وصلى اللهم على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Assalamu alaikum everyone. Inshallah, we're going to continue with the rays. We're reading the Supreme Sign, which is the 7th ray, and we are in the 2nd chapter of that. So that's the Supreme ray. The sign that we've been reading is about the human journey, how we are witnessing the signs of our Lord in this universe. And last time we discussed about how the evidence that is out there for us to look at and conclude, make our conclusions, is not something that is imaginary, but it is factual and affirmable. So confirmation. And we went over how belief in the absoluteness of the Lord is something that must be affirmed, can be affirmed based on the evidences out there. And there was some explanation about, like, one does not have to bypass the universe to go to God, but use the universe as a means to make the conclusions, because the universe acts as the platform for us to witness the signs and then conclude about the absoluteness or the unity of the absolute one. All right, so let's continue with the first truth. Now, this first truth is an obvious signs that are visible, available, experiential, because experience is necessary to establish the absoluteness of the one who brings things into existence. And now this traveler is thinking to himself as he knocked at the door of God's sublimity and grandeur. So this is just above this first truth, and I'm reading. He entered the stopping place of God's deeds and workings. So look at the works and his acts that are visible and experiential, and then make your conclusions. So it is very experiential and real. The world of creation and origination, and there he saw that 5 comprehensive truths were prevailing over the entire cosmos, and these truths offer self-evident proof of divine unity. The first truth, that of grandeur and sublimity. Since this truth is explained with different proofs in the 2nd station of the 2nd ray and various other places in the Risale-i-Nur, we restrict ourselves here to the following. The being that creates and then administers at a single time and in a single fashion the stars that are thousands of years distant from each other, creates and then administers at a single time and in a single fashion the stars that are thousands of years distant from each other, that creates at a single time and in a single form the countless members of the same species of flower, at a single time and in a single form the countless members of the same species of flower, distributed over the east and the west, the north and south of the globe. that administers, nurtures, quickens, distinguishes, and adorns more than 200,000 different types of plant and species of animal in 5 or 6 weeks with the utmost regularity and equilibrium, without any confusion, defect, or error, in order to provide every spring on the face of the earth more than 100,000 specimens of the supreme resurrection, and thus prove before man's eyes a remarkable event now belonging to the past and the realm of the unseen, namely the creation of the heavens and the earth in 6 days as indicated in the verse. So I'm going to read the last part of it again. In order to provide every spring on the face of the earth more than 100,000 specimens of the supreme resurrection, and thus prove before man's eyes a remarkable event now belonging to the past and the realm of the unseen, now belonging to the past and the realm of the unseen, namely the creation of the heavens and the earth in 6 days as indicated in the verse. He it is who created the heavens and the earth in 6 days. Quran chapter 57, verse 4. He it is who created the heavens and the earth in 6 days. The being that causes the earth to revolve, as evidenced in the verse, he merges night with day and day with night, which is Quran chapter 3, verse 27. He merges night with day and day with night, and turns the night into the page on which the events of the day are written. Turns the night into the page on which the events of the day are written. The same being knows and administers, according to his own will, all at the same time. According to his own will, all at the same time, the most secret and obscure thoughts that occur to men's hearts. Since each of the aforementioned acts is in reality one act, since each of the aforementioned acts is in reality one act, it follows that their glorious doer is a unique and powerful being, enjoying such grandeur and sublimity that nowhere, in nothing, in no way does it leave the slightest possibility for the acceptance of partnership. On the contrary, it uproots all such possibility. Since such sublime power and grandeur exist, and since that grandeur is at the very apex of perfection and comprehends everything, it is certainly in no way possible to permit or allow any attribution of partners to that unique and powerful being. Since such sublime power and grandeur exist, and since that grandeur is at the very apex of perfection and comprehends everything, It is certainly in no way possible to permit or allow any attribution of partners to that unique and powerful being, for so doing would ascribe impotence or need to that power, fault to that grandeur, defect to that perfection, and impose restriction on that comprehensiveness. No sound intellect could deem this possible. The assignment of partners to God is then by virtue of the offense. It causes to God's grandeur. The assignment of partners to God is then by virtue of the offense. It causes to God's grandeur, the dignity of his glory and his sublimity, so grave a crime that the Quran of miraculous exposition decrees with an earnest threat. God does not pardon the assignment to him of a partner. He pardons whatever is lesser than that. Quran chapter 4, verse 48. God does not pardon the assignment to him of a partner. He pardons whatever is lesser than that.
Interesting verse.
Yeah. All right. So let's see if we can. This is the first truth. You have any comment for you on that?
Yeah, I just the verse itself right now. I was thinking, he pardons whatever is lesser than that, which is what? Which is very interesting. God does not pardon the assignment to him of a partner, but he pardons whatever is lesser than that. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, what can be lesser than that? Because everything that I'm doing is pretty much, like I'm heedless most of the time. Like, yeah, this is doing this is doing that. But where's God in the picture? So like, it seems that at least for me, the way that I go on with my daily routines, it's there's always some kind of assignment as far as partnership with the source of my existence. So that's it. That's all I do. Like, I don't know something more than that or something less than that, but maybe that's something we can inshallah explore.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm noticing also in this first truth how the author is kind of as if he's speaking from God's perspective a little bit, right? When he says the being that creates and then administers, because we are at the stage of the supreme sign in the second chapter. I think that he's more focused on using the terminology how the Quran presents it in a way. So I'm assuming that to be the case here. And focusing mostly on that, the single was used a few times here at a single time in a single fashion. Everything, the whole galaxy, the stars, each, the thousands of years of distance from each other, creates at a single time and a single form the countless members of the same species. And they're distributed all over the earth. And then being added, there's the qualities of administration, nurturing, quickening, coming into existence, distinguishing, adorning of all different types of species. And everything comes without any confusion, defect, or error. And as he says about the springtime, is a great event, which to the author, I think he's using also the way as evidence for the supreme resurrection, how things are coming abundantly into existence in spring. And thus prove before man's eyes a remarkable event. And then it says, now belonging to the past and the realm of the unseen.
That's a good point.
So that shows activity or something that changes. So all those beings come in, and then next spring, I mean, that particular spring that was shown is now in the past and belongs to the realm of the unseen. That's how human beings are witnessing in terms of space-time fashion.
Interesting.
So it points, all these are signs for human beings to actually wonder and reflect on in terms of how the one who is bringing this about is demonstrating his sublimity and grandeur, his quality of being great, granderness. And also the perspective of how the pages of night and day, how the night is merged with day and day with night, how this change is happening, continuous, which we call time factor, as that we witness and experience.
So what is the author drawing our attention to in this first truth? So you're saying it's a first truth of a great gathering, the supreme sign, just
First truth of grandeur and sublimity. That's what,
as in
Yeah.
grandeur and sublimity that I always see in creation, like, ooh, everything is so majestic. Okay, it's a stuff of that nature. Okay, good. So the author is drawing my attention in terms of, like you were saying, how things come and go, past events are gone. Every spring we notice the same thing. I know we talked about a little bit repetition last week, but it's a different kind of repetition. Like within the order you do find a specific order, but it's a new, something that's new. So pretty much Nursi's drawing our attention to how everything is extravagant in this universe. I mean, like, oh, it's big, great, and subhanallah kind of thing already.
no, the owner of everything. Not everything is great, but sublime. But the one who is demonstrating this, I get to know his quality of being absolute and great, sublime.
Also him, he is
yeah,
the
so-
one that's
yeah. So the truth points to the quality of
it's a
his quality.
it's a big difference.
There's
Just
a big
admiring that universe, like, woohoo, good stuff.
Yeah.
That was beautiful, taram, versus wait a minute, who's setting this up? Oh, that's the one that's great. That's the one that's
Yeah.
big. I see. Adam has his hand up.
Adam, go ahead.
Okay, Assalamu alaikum. I don't have a lot to add, but I would just say there seems to be an emphasis on single time, single moment. For example, in the second paragraph, or the second paragraph, the being that creates and that administers at a single time, in a single fashion. And then again, single time, single form. And then goes later in the text, even this verse that was used around creating the heavens and earth in 6 days is also, it seems to be pointing to this issue of singleness, or one moment. The 6 numerical not one but 6 days is maybe a question to be asked. Why 6 days? But still putting it in the context of being done at one moment, or being done in one succession, if you will. And even this third paragraph, where it says about the night and the day written from each other is also referred to oneness, one singleness, because the day and the night are generally perceived as being independent phenomena from each other. But the way the description gave it, and also coming from the verse, of course, coming from the verse, merging the night with the day and the day with the night, as if to say these are not independent phenomenon, but these are singular or one single phenomenon, because the events of the day continue on into the night, and but presented to us as night, but they are the continuation of one single act. Like, as he actually explicitly says it in the paragraph, the third paragraph, where it says, since each of the aforementioned acts is in reality one act. So as though, I think, trying to make our minds understand the not oneness in what we usually discuss, but I mean, it connects to what we usually discuss about oneness of all the beings coming from one source, but also in the phenomenon that we see, they are coming in one act, So one act, somehow there seems to be, and I'm still trying to understand it, a correlation between this one single act or single time, single action, and grandeur and sublimity. That's what I'm trying to understand. If you agree, then we can try to go deeper and try to understand more of this correlation. It may also be helpful, I don't know, maybe not, I don't know, to know the word for grandeur and sublimity, what it is, maybe in Arabic or Turkish, just so we can keep our terms straight, but also help us to understand, interpret these names or these qualities now within this single act emphasis. So hopefully that makes some sense. I don't know, inshallah.
Yeah, thank you, Adam. That makes good sense to me.
Yeah, I think I like that. The point about single time is brought to our attention, because everything is happening all at once. It may seem, it's the same sun that's rising or the same springtime. I've experienced this. No, but it's not. I think it may seem repetition, but it's not. It's something that I definitely am familiar with as far as the order in creation is concerned, but it's a new set of order that's presented to me. So I think the good point here is really that every moment is new, is something. It may seem repetitive, but it's not. And I think it's really hard to get out of this mindset, because we're so used to things, we're so used to being familiar with things. But I mean, there's a one that's administering everything at a single time in a single fashion. Like, everything is coming into existence instantaneously and concurrently, meaning at the same time. So the stars, galaxies, same thing within the solar system, same thing within our body, same thing within the sea world, same thing within the earth, same thing, the thoughts, emotions, everything is just countless members of the same species, because everything is being brought into existence. So it's distributed everywhere throughout. And so what I understood from Brother Adam's comment was, all of this is pointing to a quality of grandeur and sublimity. So that's what I need to, because I observe these things, I observe these qualities, and like you were saying, Asim, that there's a fine point. I'm just getting lost. Oh, this is wonderful. I see all this beautiful stuff, but no. So what does it point to? It's pointing to a one that's amazing, or it's pointing to a quality of like the one that has control over everything, like grandeur and sublimity. But yeah, we should definitely unpack some more on this grandeur and sublimity, if anyone wants to share in. But I think it ties in with what Nursi is also walking us through. Sure.
Yeah, so that reminds me also about, thank you for all the comments so far. You know, all this display that we're seeing, we see it in space-time moments,
Mhm.
but the one who established all this space-time must not be subject to space-time. So this is, the emphasis is being made with the word usage of single, and mentioning about that, you know, can you imagine this? That although we see every spring there's a display that's there, all sorts of varieties of different beings, flowers, animals are being displayed, and then qualities are constantly renewed and repeated all this time. But all that is just be and it is. Kun fayakun is just one act. And with that realization, you know, if one can see, wow, you know, like, wow, you know, what is an exalted supreme being that, what is, so you see, I'm being subject to witnessing it every day and
To
every
time,
moment.
to time and space. But what you
Because time
mean?
is, for me, is relative to me.
Mm. And space too.
Space, time, both are relative.
Mm.
But the one who brings into existence is, I
Not
mean, we don't witness it that way, because our witnessing, our experiencing is within time and space.
sequential.
Within time and space.
Uh-huh.
Right? Everything is gradual. That's why it says, you know, 5 or 6 weeks, different animals or plants, we see them grow. Our own life is over a span of years, but the one who is creating all this, there's no concept of time or space. for
What?
that being.
How do you fathom this? Wait
So
a
it's-
minute.
Yeah.
So this is very interesting. So all these, if let's take 20 years ago. So it's some I
Yeah.
experience space and time,
Yeah.
but the creator of the universe
But
knows.
it's already, yeah, it's
What,
already.
how do you,
So that's the,
where do you make this claim from?
that's how we, yeah, that's how one can conclude.
What do you mean?
But somebody can probably comment on this further.
Like, how can I even make that kind of, what I experience is just this. So how can I even speak about the one that's bringing it into existence? It's I mean, this is good what you're describing, like, so I'm experiencing, yeah, I understand and I agree, space-time, but the one that's bringing it into existence is not subject to space-time. I can also digest that, but like, what does that mean? That one is just, it's like a magic wand and like this, and those, when I leave this universe, that's it. Like, wait a minute.
You're saying, how do you
Look
arrive
at this.
How would one arrive
Exactly.
at
So like, you know, like right now I have this book open, right? I'm reading.
Yeah.
The one, so I can't even say anything like that. For him, it's just like, for such a one, it's just like one act, like close the book, done. No, it's just happening for the one that brings into
Right,
existence.
because our experience, our view is only, everything is in time and space.
Okay, I get it. So it's me, as far as I'm concerned, yeah.
As a created being.
Okay, so what, that's good. So that's what I experienced. Like so that's, shouldn't I just be concerned with this? Like, where do we go from this kun fayakun thing, where for the absolute we say that everything is just happening at once? I don't know. Wondering.
Anybody would like to comment? Adam, go ahead.
Okay, I'm just jumping in if it's okay. So the latter of the text still goes back to this recurring issue of partners, right? Because partners are always at the heart of what is asked for us to remove in our understanding of what's happening in this world. So the issue isn't what you and I see. So we see it in this kind of time-based format, as was said, and the things are happening. Of course, part of what we are not worried about or are not responsible for. How does he do it? I don't know how he does it. I mean, that's not our responsibility. But I think what our responsibility is, how do we interpret what's happening? So I think what's being taught is you can see how to be removing how you can remove all sense of partners in the things that you experience and see in this world. You can do that. Use what he said here in this text. You can do that, and you can very he's putting emphatically, it's a very big deal, sublime, grandeur. So this grandeur, this sublimity, which is proved through what he said, doesn't give room for partners. So you should therefore not be in any way allowing for partners to come into your mind and how you interpret what's going on, and in any way diminish what's happening in your mind, in your understanding. So if you do that, then again at the end we see that this verse about not pardoning those who assign partners. So I think singleness, single time, single moment, single act, and the way in which the verses, the day and the night, which is interesting. I'm really, alhamdulillah, very thankful, because I used to read this verse differently before. And usually it's like talked about, I don't know, at least in my experience in my life, how the day and the night are bounties. They're bounties. They are bounties. That's true. They're gifts. But here the angle being shown is a different angle. Merging of the day and the night with the day, as if to say these are the knowledge necessary for one brings the other one into existence together, not separated. That word of merging doesn't allow for separation, doesn't allow for independent existence of each one, and therefore shows the power, the knowledge, the wisdom, the grandeur. So in at once, all together, and all of these are happening together. So that's what I understand. I mean, this is quite interesting. I mean, I'm still curious to learn more about grandeur and sublimity, what these words are, to understand them a little bit better. Maybe someone can share.
Alhamdulillah, good points, Adam. Thank you.
Yeah, alhamdulillah, that was very helpful. So I'm just going to recap what you said, because I think it's important to have these reminders. So I think within ourselves, we have the ability to interpret what is happening. Just like you said, that I can clearly observe in creation that there are no partnership to anything or associations. And so within myself, I have this ability where I can remove all these false interpretation that I find myself falling into, because clear evidence is out there. And so I can do that. I can interpret things the right way without associating any partnership of giving existence to created things. Yep, alhamdulillah, thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Any other comment by anyone? So, all right, so we can continue on then.
Yeah, it's another point that Brother Adam brought up about merges. He merges night with day and day with night. Merges is in, like, how we say, I cannot say, oh, this is this, this is this, this is this. It's, like even we observe the growth of a plant. I can use maybe transformation would be the best I can come up with as merging, rather than, oh, it's different. Oh, look, I don't know, maybe where it's all interconnected. It's not that, oh, here's the seed, here's the plant, here's the fruit. No, it's all part of a single act of creation. Although I may see it in sequence.
We may see it as different.
Yeah, even like as a transformation, I may see it, or I may see night merge into the day, merge into night. But I think it was a good connection about the wording also. Like, what I observe in creation is that, like how suddenly all scenery changes as well. You see the clouds coming in, and like what is, it's not, oh, that made room for this. No, it's all coming into existence at once. So I cannot say that the cloud gave room for the sun to come out. No, it's.
Yeah, but it happens gradually in terms of the sun sets gradually, and then you come into the darkness. And then the darkness, you see the sunrise after a while, and then it becomes daylight, and then the intensity increases around noontime, and then it starts declining again. So it may seem as all, to us in time and space, it seems as different acts, but whoever is setting up this act is actually,
it's a smooth transition.
It's merging it as if it's just one act. So the merging also implies that it's the same one act, but it's merging. And let's hear from Brother Ali.
I'll murmur.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I missed the beginning for some reason. It is my weak point. As far as I can follow the discussion after I joined, I understand Adam is asking grandeur and sublimity. Really, grandeur means kibriya, means when we say Allahu Akbar, what we mean by Akbar is the expression of grandeur. And sublimity means azim. For example, when we recite the Quran, وَهُوَ الْعَلِيُّ الْعَظِيمُ, what do we mean by azim? In our discussions, we usually use this word absolute. It is a good way of understanding all these qualities in terms of absolute. So depending from which perspective we are looking and considering or reflecting on the creation of the universe, if we are looking from our perspective, which is necessary that we should start by looking from our perspective, we see that the different things are coming into existence. And at the same time, they exist all together. They don't exist gradually. It means the first one part of the city tree, and then the follows, other part. No, they exist as a whole at once. But at the same time, we see the changes in time. According to us, we see the change. But the text says, if we consider or understand, conclude that the source of existence is giving existence everything at the same time, at least at the space, it means one instance, we can see that everything is given existence at once. Not the time-wise creation, we may not grasp it easily. So leave it there. If our observation of an instance of the creation of the universe leads us to conclude that this one who creates the universe, we call it SOE, the source of existence. This source of existence must be doing everything at a time without following the gradual actions What do I mean? For example, if I am tidying up my room, first I put one thing at a time, another thing next to it another time, and another thing next to it another time. I can put it at the same time, everything. But the creation, the way the universe is coming into existence is not happening in this way. Everything exists at the same time. Now, it looks like if we want to understand this Kibriya and Azamat, Azim and Kabir, Akbar, nature of the Creator, which is absoluteness of the Creator, if it is our logical conclusion, of course, absoluteness of the Creator, I would understand that here is my computer, and here is the memory, and in the memory, a film is recorded, or our discussions are recorded. When somebody, the expert, looks at the memory, it will see that everything is recorded there. It is really there. But as far as my perception of what is already existing in the memory of my computer, I hit on it and it starts demonstrating or opening up, disclosing what is in the memory, what we call it, in the course of time. But everything exists at once there. But it is in the course of time, I am following it. I can use it as an example, as a metaphor, to use how we should understand the act of creation, manifestation of the qualities of the absolute Creator. Like this, he is not following a gradual development in his actions. At once, everything happens. As far as the definition of the absolute is concerned, I have to conclude that the absolute cannot act within the limitations of space and time. That is my logical conclusion. On the other hand, my observation of the universe, I start looking at my right side. Although the things exist at the same time, I turn my head and go to the front and the left and then turn back and the back. I see a huge universe is in existence here, but my observation of it is gradual. So my understanding, although finds it quite difficult to understand that time-wise existence of the universe is hard to imagine or to grasp that it happens, it is created by one command. It means by one will. But this will is an absolute will, limitless will, uncomparable with anything of this universe. So, like heart memory in the hard drive. So whatever it is, I don't know the technical words, in the memory, whole film, which lasts 3 hours or 2 hours, doesn't matter, it's a long time, exists at once. But my observation, because I cannot see what is in the memory at once, all of them. If I could, yeah, but I can't. So my existence level is different from memory's existence level. So I have to let it disclose itself in order to see it. That is according to my capacity, how the universe appears to be. This aspect of the universe is described in the Quran to a very simple-minded man like me. It is created in 6 days. It means stage by stage, stage by stage. You observe it. It means you observe it in this gradual manifestation. But as far as the source is concerned, source is not bound, cannot be bound by time limitations, because time is what I observe the universe and come up with a concept according to my observation. We, in order to clarify this difficult to grasp point, we say time, the concept of time, is human construction. We make it up. Is it unrealistic? Not at all. Not at all. According to me, is realistic, according to my capacity of perceiving what is going on out there. But according to my logical conclusion that the source must have absolute qualities, then my perception cannot be applied to the definition of absolute. I have to logically understand that by logical conclusion, the source must have only one will, to will this universe exists in this world. But this is not my observation. This is not my reality as far as my practical life is concerned. But my logical conclusion necessitates it. That's why we have to reconcile these two perspectives. When I say I am looking at the universe, I would say La ilaha. This is gradually happening. The things are growing themselves. I am aging. Water is coming down from the faucet, or this is La ilaha field, if you like. Well, I have to say, no, tree is not growing himself. I am not aging myself, and I don't know, the moon is not rotating around the earth by itself. So they are given existence in this way. La ilaha. You see the moon is rotating, but say La ilaha, it is not moon, it is created by whom? La ilaha, but what must be the conclusion? If moon, it is not the moon which is rotating, I will say, no, if it is not the moon, what else is making it rotate or giving its existence as rotating? I said, the one who creates the moon and the sun and the earth and the galaxies and atmosphere, or my eyesight and the light reflected on the moon at the same time. Oh, it must be absolute then. So, for the absolute, I will say, oh, the moon and the sun and the movement of the moon, my observation, my thinking, etc., all are given existence by only an absolute being. All right. So I say, oh, that's then moon is rotating, but La ilaha, therefore my logical conclusion says illallah. Illallah is not observation. Illallah is the result of my observation. Intellectual, logical result of my observation. That's why we can never ever look at the world from God's perspective, saying the absolute must be doing this. No speculation, I don't know. But I say what I see can only be understood in terms of the act of absolute, which doesn't take time, cannot be subject to time limitations, cannot be subject to space limitations. That is called Iman. Iman doesn't mean imagination. The Iman is just a logical conclusion about the existence of, necessary existence of something which cannot be imaginable, comprehensible in human terms, but mentally, intellectually, necessarily to be comprehended. Physically, impossible. We have to make this distinction. My spirit acknowledges the necessary existence of absolute, because my spirit is not subject to time and space limitations. But my eye, my tongue, my ear is subject to the conditions of this physical world. So they cannot really see the acts of absolute being. I'm sorry, long the discussion. And my talk is too long. I'm sorry about.
Alhamdulillah, that was beautiful. Thank you so much, Brother Ali.
It's very helpful though that I go through a logical conclusion. Like the La ilaha part is my observation, but what do I do with this observation? So I derive at a conclusion, which we say that illallah, or there must be an absolute source, or just how we were saying that, as far as I know, as far as I can conclude from observation, is that this one that I conclude to be illallah or absolute cannot be or must not be subject to space-time. And so this is my logical conclusion, which Brother Ali said is belief, but there's more to belief. Like,
yeah,
it's just a first start to belief, because the rest is also emotional confirmation, confirming. Because yes, I am satisfied intellectually, but then I have emotions as well. They need to be satisfied. So this confirmation that we just went over right now, it's a logical confirmation, which is a first step, but I can still use this logical confirmation to work out my heart and spirit, bring this logical conclusion to my heart and spirit. And so that goes to another level.
Thank you. Emotional or sensual engagement has to follow. Thank you. Very good point.
Thank you. Yeah, because that's what we live. The
That's part of
spirit
the
and
human.
the heart is what we live. Logically, we all can come to this conclusion, but if I'm not engaged, if my spirit is not engaged or my heart is not engaged with this logical conclusion, then it leads me nowhere. Alhamdulillah, thank you so much for making these points.
Yeah, the analogy of the memory in the computer was very good as well as the film, in terms of understanding how everything is just one act. That helps.
That's interesting, actually. It's pretty much, that's just a logical conclusion.
Yeah. Yeah, but this just gives me goosebumps also.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah, all right, so yeah, Adam, would you have any follow-up or anything, or anybody else? I think we are at time, so if any final comments, please go ahead. If not, we can stop here, because we can do the second truth next Sunday, inshallah. All right, thank you everyone. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. آخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين.